Please start recording.
Yeah. Just a minute, 1 minute. Yeah, fine. So in our last class, we discussed about the types of backups, right? Cold backups means, I just want to tell you one thing. Cold backups means copying the files physically is called cold backups. Okay? Cold backups means if you want to copy the files physically, so whenever you create a database, data files and log file will be created, right? So cold backups means physically, if you are copying the files from one location to another location, that is called cold backup. But you cannot copy the files, the database is in online. Okay, you cannot copy the files, the database is in online. It will throw you an error, database is in use. Okay, it will throw you an error, database is in use. So for that, what you have to do, you have to bring the database offline, and you have to copy the backup file, sorry, data files and log files from one location to another location. That is called cold backups. Why we are discussing cold backups means, on resource database, you cannot take any backups. On resource database, you cannot take any backups, but it will allow one backup type, guys. What is that backup? Cold backups. Okay, you can take cold backups on resource database. For that, you don't need to put the resource database offline. Okay, so cold backups means copying the data files and log file physically from one location to another location is called cold backups. First thing. Second thing, usually for user databases, you cannot copy the files. The databases are in online state. Okay. For that, what you have to do, if you want to take the cold backups, you have to bring the database offline. So for taking the backups, anyone is going to take the database offline, guys? Taking the backup offline, database offline means it's a downtime activity. Your application will be down. So 99.99% no one will take the cold backups. But in case if someone asks which backups are possible on resource database, only one backup is possible. That is your cold backups. Okay, so resource database data files and log files you can copy. No need to put the database in offline state. For resource, only for resource database it will allow us. Okay, only for resource database it will allow us. For other databases it won't allow us. For other databases you have to keep the database offline. Okay, let me show you that as well. Okay, then we'll jump into the recovery models. Right, okay, so let it be, it will open. I'll show you. So in the meantime, let's discuss two important topics. One is recovery models and recovery types, recovery states. Okay, recovery models and recovery states. So what is this recovery models, guys? Okay, a recovery model, the definition of the recovery model is changing the behavior, changing the behavior of the log file. You can call it as a recovery model. Changing the behavior of the log file, you can call it as a recovery model. First of all, what is the behavior of the log file? Why we have to change the behavior of the log file? So the behavior of the log file is, it will track, or it will store each and every transaction. It will store each and every transaction in the log file. Okay, generally log file will store each and every transaction. What is the transaction? As discussed earlier, insert into table name. Okay, employee values 1 comma something like Mahesh Babu comma 20,000. Okay, so this is your transaction, guys. This is called your transaction. This is called your transaction. Listen carefully. So in the transaction, usually if you run this transaction, what will happen, guys?
Will store the data.
Just a minute. Okay, fine. Right. So this whole transaction will be stored in the log file. As discussed, log file is a temporary storage area. It is not a permanent storage area. Whatever transaction is coming from the application, first it will goes to, okay, first it will goes to log file only. Okay, it's a kind of main entrance to the home. So anyone is coming to the home, coming into the house, okay, they have to come from the main gate or main entrance only, right? So it's a kind of main entrance to the database. Each and every transaction, first it will comes to log file. Then if the transaction is committed, then the data, see, transaction is different, okay, transaction is different, and data is different. If this transaction is committed, okay, only this part will goes to data file, your table. In your table, it won't store the whole query, right? It will only store this values. This is called your data. This is called, the whole thing is called your transaction. Whenever the transaction is committed, from the transaction it will take only these values, and this data will be stored in the data file permanently. Once this data is moved to the data file, then this transaction will be truncated from the log file. Truncate means delete, guys. Simple words, truncate means delete. Why? Because it was permanently stored. Then what is the use of that? See, for example, you are taking the backup of your phone. We are now, nowadays we are using, okay, 64 GB. Earlier we used to use 64 KB phones. Agree? When mobile phones are introduced, we used to use only 64 KB. That SIMs and all will have storage. Later it went to 128, 512 KB. Then 1 GB, 2 GB phones. Then 8 GB phones. Then what is that, 12 GB phones, then 32 GB phones, then 64 GB phones. Now 64 GB is also not enough for us. Okay, very regularly we'll take the backups from the phone and we'll keep it in the laptop. Once we took the backup, what we'll do, guys? We'll delete the data, right? Why? Because it's already full. That's why we'll take the backup from the phone and we'll keep it in the laptop. So already we have a backup of the photos, whatever data and all, we have a backup. So we delete it from the mobile phone so that it will create some space. Agree, guys? Is it true or not? The same way, if any transaction comes from the application, first it will goes to log file. Until the transaction is committed, it will wait in the log file. Once the transaction is committed, it will truncate it from the log file. This is the behavior of the log file, guys. That's why we will call it as a temporary storage area. In the log file, you can't store the data permanent. Once the transaction is committed, it will be truncated automatically from your particular log file, guys. That is the behavior of the log file. So why log file will occupy more space? Log file not only store the transaction, it will also store lot of details about the transaction. When this transaction came, on what database it is going to execute, on what table it is going to execute, what is the date and timestamp, what is the LSN number, LSN. Every transaction will be associated with one number called LSN number, log sequence number. Every transaction will be associated with one number called log sequence number. So with the help of this LSN numbers, each and every transaction will be identified. Like table will have a table ID, database will have a database ID. In the same way, transactions will have LSN numbers and all. Okay, so for one transaction, it will track almost all 108 attributes, guys. 108 attributes. Attributes means just now we said, right? We discussed it, right? When this transaction came, on what database it is executed, on what table it was inserted, what is the date and timestamp, okay? What is the LSN number, before LSN, previous LSN, current LSN, next LSN. All these details will be stored. For one transaction, it will store all these details. Why it will store all these details? Why, guys? What is the need of storing all these details? Why? Because for redo and undo purpose. If the same something happened during the transaction, suddenly someone put the database offline. Okay, so something happened to your database, something happened to server, suddenly someone restarted the SQL server. What happened to your transaction? Nothing will happen, as you have all the data. When this transaction came, what transaction came, on what database is going to execute, on what table it is going to insert, or whatever it might be, alter, update, delete. So all this data will be there, right? Because of with the help of all this data, if there is a chance, it is going to redo the transaction. Again, redo means reapplying, undo means canceling. We'll call redo as rollback. Okay, sorry, roll forward. Redo or roll forward, both are same. Undo or roll backward, both are same. Roll back. Okay, why it will store all these details, guys? If there is a chance, if something happened, it has to again reapply the transaction, or it has to cancel the transaction. If any duplicate transactions are there, it has to cancel the transaction. For that purpose, log file will store all the details. But once the transaction is completed, all the data will be truncated related to the transaction from the log file. Again, the same log space will be used for the next upcoming transactions. Is it clear, guys, what log file will do?
Yes, sir.
Everyone. Okay, so this is the functionality of your log file. So the recovery models will always deals with the changing the behavior. This is the actual behavior of the log file, storing each and every transaction. Okay, this is the actual behavior of the log file. Recovery model deals with changing the behavior. You are going to change the behavior of the log file. How we are going to change the behavior of the log file? This is the actual behavior, original behavior. What is the original behavior? It will track each and everything. It will store each and every transaction until it is going to be committed. Once it is committed, it will delete the transactions, truncate the transaction. This is the actual behavior. We can change this behavior using one property called recovery model. Using one property called recovery model. So we have three types of recovery models, guys. Very important interview question. Okay, full recovery model, bulk log recovery model, and simple recovery model. So these are the three recovery models of the database, guys. Three recovery models of the particular database. So any database will be there in these three recovery models. Either it will be there in the full, or it will be there in the bulk logged, or it will be there in the simple. But 90% it will be there in the full, 10% it will be there in the simple, guys. 90% means don't think one database is it possible to maintain two recovery. No. 90% of the databases will be in full recovery model in the organization. 10% might be in simple recovery model, guys. Okay. So whatever things we discussed related to the log file now, okay, that belongs to full recovery model, guys. Full recovery model. In the full recovery model, your log file will track each and everything, each and every minute information. Your log file will track each and every minute information, guys, the full recovery model. Okay, that's why in the full recovery model, log file size will be huge in size. In case if any transactions are there, if lot of transactions are there, as it is going to track each and every information. Why? Because every point is important, right? To roll back and to roll forward, to redo and undo. So that's why it will store each and every transaction with the complete details. So that's why generally your log file size will be more when compared to your data file. Sometimes depends upon the transactions. Okay, so that is the use of your full recovery model. And full recovery model, all types of backups are possible. All types of backups are possible. In full recovery model, all types of backups are possible. You can take full backup, you can take differential backup, you can take log backup, you can take copy only, whatever backups are there, all backups are possible in full recovery model. Okay, is it clear guys? Full recovery model.
Yes.
Whatever we discuss it till now, that is your full recovery model. All backups are possible in the full recovery model. One more extra point, all backups are possible in the full recovery model. Whereas bulk logged recovery model, it's a semi-full kind of thing, semi-full recovery model kind of thing. What is this bulk logged recovery model? It will behave like a, generally if you keep the database in bulk logged recovery model, it will behave like a full recovery model only. Until bulk operations are there. If any bulk operations are there, all the bulk operations are minimally logged. Right, let me explain. So bulk logged recovery model is nothing but it's a kind of a full recovery model, but not exactly. Okay, so if there are no bulk operations, the name itself is saying bulk logged recovery model. Bulk log means, guys, what is meant by log? First of all, tell me, can you tell me what is meant by log?
Transaction log.
That's okay. What is the meaning of log? If you go to library, you can see log book, right?
Logbook means some
If you go
attributes
to,
will be there.
correct, if you go to some apartment, you can see the log book, means entry book. Right, if you go to, yeah, correct, entries. If you go to library, you have to enter your name, your ID number, your what are the books you are having. If any fines are there, you have to enter, and you have to like what is there. You have to write the name of the book, book ID. You have to write, and finally you have to keep the signature. All these things are attributes only. Your ID, your name, book ID, book name. Okay, in case of any fines are there, that fines how much amount. Okay, your signature. All these things are attributes only. Log file means it is going to log each and everything. Log book, like a log book, entry point. It is going to
Register
log
no.
each and everything. Right, sorry.
Like register.
Register, like correct, register book. Okay, so it's a kind of log book, means it is going to enter each and every detail. So in the bulk logged means bulk operations will be logged. If any normal operations are there, like non-bulk operations, okay, all the non-bulk operations, it will behave like a full recovery model. How full recovery model database will work, in the same way bulk log recovery model database also will work when if there are no bulk operations on the database. If any bulk operations it found, all the bulk operations are minimally logged. What is the meaning of minimally logged? Minimally logged means minimally means minimum. Logged means writing. It will write a very basic details of the particular log file. If any bulk, see, bulk means what? Suddenly 10 lakh transactions are there. Suddenly 10 lakh transactions came into the database. In such case, okay, if you keep your databases in full recovery model, 10 lakh transactions into 108 properties, 10 lakh into 108 properties, how many entries will be there, guys? Tell me. Crores of entries will be there, right? Imagine the log file size will grow very huge, very quick it will grow. But if you know, developers will let us know, hey, bulk operations are going to come, please keep the database in the bulk log recovery model. If we keep the database in the bulk log recovery model, then all bulk operations, these 10 lakh bulk operations are minimally logged, means it won't store 108 attributes. It will only store very basic details like batch, when this batch came, what is the batch ID, okay, what is the batch size, how many transactions are there inside this batch, on what database it is going to run. Okay, only very basic details will be stored if you keep the database in the bulk log recovery model. The bulk log recovery means all bulk operations are minimally logged, so that the log file growth won't be there. It will be in control. The log file growth will be in control. Okay, so now tell me, point in time recovery. Point in time recovery means what, guys? Point in time recovery means what? PITR, point in time recovery. Okay, means what? Point in time recovery means if the database is corrupted at 10 o'clock, what is the best time you can recover the database? Till what time you can recover the database? The database is corrected exactly 10 o'clock. We can recover until 9:59 minutes
59.
59 seconds, right? So that is called your point in time recovery. At least a second before corruption you are going to recover. How you can achieve that point in time recovery? Can anyone tell me? How we can achieve point in time recovery? What things will help us to achieve point in time recovery? The morning we discussed.
Full backup.
Type of backups.
Very good. If you restore full differential log, tail log backups, then we can achieve point in time recovery, right? We can bring back the database till 9:59 minutes 59 seconds. Right? That is possible, right? So point in time recovery means recover your database, recovering the database till a second before its corruption, that we can achieve using a full differential, okay, log backups and tail log backups. In the bulk logged recovery model, it will behave like a full recovery model if there are no bulk operations as it is. In case if any bulk operations are there, all bulk operations are minimally logged. Minimally logged means a very basic details will be stored. So log backups are not possible if the database is in bulk logged recovery model. But the correction, that you have to remember one thing: when it is not possible, if any bulk operations are there, log backups are not possible. If no bulk operations are there, it will behave like a full recovery model. So now tell me, point in time recovery is possible or not possible in the bulk logged recovery model?
No, sir.
I need answers from everyone. Point in time recovery is possible or not in the bulk logged recovery model? You don't understand, let me know, I'll explain again. I'm happy to explain again, no issues.
Can you please repeat it, sir?
Sure. Bulk logged recovery model, right? Full recovery model, you are clear.
Yes, Sam.
Okay. See, in the bulk logged recovery model, all the bulk operations are minimally logged. Minimally logged means only basic details of transactions will be stored. So log backups generally, when it is possible, if it is going to store the complete data, then only log backups are possible. All the 108 attributes, then only you can take the log backups. Otherwise, if you don't have proper information, what is the use of taking the log backups? Why? Because in the bulk logged recovery model, if transactions, bulk operations are minimally logged, it won't store the transaction on database name and all, it won't store. So very basic details it will store. With that basic details, you cannot restore the transactions. So log backups are not possible in the bulk logged recovery model. But the condition is, if there are no bulk operations, there is no difference between full and bulk logged recovery model. If there are bulk operations, all bulk operations are minimally logged in the bulk logged recovery model. That's why I told you this is a semi full recovery model. So now tell me, point in time recovery is possible or not in the bulk logged recovery model database?
Not possible.
No.
I need answers from everyone, guys.
No, sir.
Point in time recovery is not possible. Just a minute. Who is this Vivo 1920? Vivo 1920. Vivo 1920.
Sir,
Sir, 7 sir.
it's 7.
7. Okay. Done. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So please.
my laptop has network issues. That's why I changed.
Okay. So guys, if you have any this kind of issues, no problem. But before joining, please send me a WhatsApp message that your device name and all. Okay. Right. So that next
Okay.
time it won't create any issues. Even though you
Okay.
join from phone, no issues, but just let me know which phone and what is the name you will get. Okay, device name, that's fine. Right. So in the bulk operation, in the bulk log recovery model, point in time recovery is possible or not possible? This is the interview question. So answer is yes and no. Okay. Then yes, as I said, even though the database is in bulk log recovery model, if there are no bulk operations, it will behave like a full recovery model. So full recovery model means point in time recovery is possible or not possible?
Yes.
Possible. If there are bulk operations, all the bulk operations are minimally logged. So basic details will be stored. So log backups are not possible. If log backups are not possible, point in time recovery is not possible. How can we achieve point in time recovery? With the help of full differential log backups, tail log backups. If there are no log backups, how can we achieve? So that's why the answer is no. So the answer for this question is yes, point in time recovery is possible when if there are no bulk operations in the database. No, point in time recovery is not possible when if there are bulk operations in the database. Is it clear? What is the answer now? Point in time recovery is possible or not possible in the bulk log recovery model?
Yes and no.
Depends on
Type of transactions.
type
Okay,
of transaction.
depends on type of transactions.
Backup transaction.
Right. Okay. So if there are no bulk operations, point in time recovery possible. If there are bulk operations, point in time recovery, say they will ask you to explain the same. So you should be in a position to explain the same. Okay. Right. That is about your bulk log recovery model. Please be in mute, guys. Simple recovery model. So what is the simple recovery model? Okay. Just a minute, please. Malish. Right. Right. So simple recovery model. In simple recovery model, see in the full recovery model, it is going to store all the transactions. All the backups are possible. In the bulk log recovery model, non-bulk operations are fully committed and bulk operations are minimally logged. So sometimes if there are no bulk operations, log backups are possible. If there are bulk operations, log backups are not possible. In the simple recovery model, if you keep your databases in simple recovery model, it will also behave like a full recovery model only, but the difference is the log file will be truncated automatically, guys. The log file will be truncated automatically. Okay. So in the simple recovery model, the log file will be truncated automatically. Whereas in the full recovery model, log file won't be truncated. Okay. So the transactions are committed, that committed data will goes to the data file. In the simple recovery model, it will also track each and every transaction completely, but automatically your log file will be truncated automatically. Automatically your log file will be truncated means what? Means for every 60 seconds, or whenever you run checkpoint, usually checkpoint will run as discussed, internal checkpoint, manual checkpoint, automatic checkpoint will be there, right? Automatic means what? On every database for every 1 minute, automatic checkpoint will run as discussed. So that means every 1 minute your log file will be truncated automatically, guys. So if every 1 minute log file is truncating, what is there to store? If nothing is there to store, can we take the log backups on the log file? Is it possible? Every 1 minute your log file is truncating, right? Can we store any data? Can we take the backup of log file?
No.
We
No.
cannot take the log backup in the simple recovery model. So log backups are not at all possible. Log backups are not at all possible. Why? What is the reason? Every 1 minute, or whenever you change the recovery model, or whenever you took the full backup, or whenever a checkpoint runs, automatically your log file will be truncated. Automatically it will be truncated. So log file growth will be in control. Log file won't grow. Why? Because every time it is truncating, right? Deleting, right? So it won't be in growth. The log file growth will be in control, but it won't store anything. Okay. So that is the main challenge. Every 60 minutes it is every 60 seconds it is going to be deleted, truncated automatically. So as it is going to be truncated every 60 seconds, so the log backups are not possible on the simple recovery model database. The log backups are not possible. Point in time recovery is possible or not, guys?
No, sir.
Point in time recovery is not possible. Okay, please reconnect, guys. It is showing less than 1 minute. Please reconnect.